Hello and welcome to a tutorial for the Piltover variant of Tellstones, King's Gambit. As Piltover is the city of progress, they have modified the game of Tellstones to make it more complex and strategic, placing meaning into each of the symbols inscribed into the stones. This variant does not adjust the general format of Tellstones. The same rules of Tellstones apply to Piltover variant, as most rules have been untouched by the changes. That said, minor modifications have been made to the base game to incorporate the variant's changes. The win count has been increased from 3 to 5. However, boasting still ends the game if the Prove It option is chosen. Stones can now be destroyed and sent back to the pool. This newly destroyed stone maintains whether it was face down or face up. The hole that destroyed stone leaves will remain there until it is filled by a stone from the pool. A player is able to swap a stone with an empty slot through the swap action. The game starts with scales in the center. Now, on to the meat of this variant. Each stone has a designated effect to it corresponding to its symbol. Scales. If the scales are face up, it must be in the center. If the scales are flipped up and not in the center, it must be swapped with the center stone. This does not consume a turn. The scales cannot be swapped while face up. Shield. If the shield is face up, peeking is prohibited. If the shield is face down and the peek action is used against it, the shield is flipped face up. The shield is immune from being destroyed while face up. Hammer. If the hammer is flipped face up or face down, it breaks the stone next to it towards the center. If the hammer is in the center, or there is a blank space on the side of the hammer that is towards the center, the hammer destroys itself. Sword. If the sword is flipped face up or face down, it breaks the stone next to it facing away from the center. If the sword is on the furthest edge away from the center, it destroys itself. If the sword is in the center, it destroys the stones on both sides. Knight. When the knight is flipped face down, the player that was told to hide the stone is able to peek at another stone of their choice. This also applies if the player who was told to hide the stone is eligible to flip 3 stones rather than 1. The knight overrides the shield rule. Flag. If the flag is flipped face up or face down, every stone is flipped between the flag and the center, including the center stone. If the flag is in the center, nothing happens. This ability does not activate the abilities of other stones. For example, the hammer would not destroy a stone if it is flipped via the flag rule. The sole exception to this is the scales, which must be swapped to the center if it is flipped face up. Crown. If the crown is face up, it must be one of the swapped stones. If the crown is flipped face down, the player who was told to hide the crown will swap the crown with another stone of their choice. And that's the Piltover variant to Tellstones. I hope you give it a try.